Welcome back to the deep dive. This is where we sift through the sources, extract the wisdom, and, help you get well informed fast. We're all about cutting through the noise to find the insights that matter most. And this deep dive, by the way, was brought to you by ProCare Hanoi. They're the phone and laptop repair shop that the expat community really trusts. Fast service, clear communication, and honest advice. It's exactly what you need when your tech starts to sweat. ProCare reminds us that steadiness and integrity are key, whether you're fixing a broken screen or navigating a challenging day, and that's a theme that runs right through our source material today.
It really does. And speaking of what keeps us going, this journey of deep diving into complex topics is, well, it's a labor of love. And if you found value in any of the deep dives we've shared, I love your support. Buy me a coffee is just the simplest way to say thanks. And trust me, every single cup keeps me going. Just scan the QR code in the cover art of the deep dive you're listening to right now. And to those who've already supported, a huge thanks. You're truly fueling this journey of discovery.
So today, we are opening up the playbook on what might be the single most challenging human skill: emotional navigation. We all feel big things, right? But knowing what to do with those feelings, well, that's often the hard part. Our source material is titled Steady Hands for Emotional Storms. And it confronts the reality of those strong human emotions, the intense flares of anger, the overwhelming waves of sadness, the paralyzing weight of anxiety.
And our mission today is really to unpack the practical guidance laid out in these excerpts. How do we move from that exhausting, often damaging process of fighting our feelings?
Right, suppressing them or ignoring them.
Or amplifying them, even. How do we move from that to simply holding them with what the source material beautifully calls steady, compassionate hands?
And the core idea that underpins this entire framework is this fundamental reframing of what an emotion actually is. The source states it so plainly. Emotions are not the enemy. They are simply signals.
Yes.
If we can truly internalize that, the fight is already over.
Let's unpack that signal idea, because that really is the pivot point. We tend to treat strong emotions like, intruders or system failures. When anger hits, our first instinct is to shove it back down or maybe, vent it indiscriminately.
Exactly. And let's start with that common human experience, because if you're listening, you know this feeling intimately. You're cruising along, feeling fine, and then bam, a trigger hits. Anger flares hot in your chest, anxiety tightens your throat, sadness just pulls you inward, and you feel completely lost inside the intensity of that sensation.
And what's fascinating is the source immediately identifies the actual problem in that scenario. It's not the emotion itself, it's our learned, immediate default reaction to it. Because emotions feel so overwhelming, our primitive brain kicks in with this standard, fight, flight, or freeze response.
And that looks like us pushing back.
Exactly. Pushing back, suppressing the feeling, or panicking, and unintentionally amplifying the intensity until we've created a whole second layer of suffering on top of the original feeling.
And that's where the wave analogy comes in, which I find incredibly resonant. The framework is very clear. The more energy you spend fighting the emotion, the bigger and more chaotic that wave becomes. You're just expending yourself trying to stop the tide, which, it's never going to work.
Never. Because emotions, by their nature, are energy in motion. And the source reminds us that mindfulness doesn't claim to remove the waves. It just teaches us how to surf them with clarity.
So allowing the energy to move without letting it knock you over.
Or drag you out to sea. Exactly.
Okay, so if we accept that they are signals, what exactly is the information they're carrying? Does the source material delve into that? Because if anger isn't the enemy, what is it trying to tell me?
That's a crucial question. The source material suggests the signal is often communicating a mismatch, a boundary that's been crossed, maybe a deeply held value that's been compromised, or even an unfulfilled need. So if you feel intense grief, it's signaling the profound importance of what was lost. If you feel anxiety, it signals that your system perceives a future threat, whether it's real or imagined. The insight is that we need to stop shooting the messenger, the feeling, and instead start listening to the message.
So we stop fighting. We recognize the feeling as a transient visitor. The sources stress that repeatedly, that feelings rise, peak, and fall like weather pattern. But if fighting is futile and blocking the tide's impossible, what does the source suggest we do instead? How do we actually stop fighting and start, holding the emotion?
That brings us directly to the central mechanism described in the source material, the mindful pause.
The mindful pause. Okay, the title makes it sound like a 5-day retreat, but you're suggesting it's more of a quick mental maneuver.
Precisely. The authors define the pause not as an escape, but as an act of awareness. It's that crucial small space that opens up between the moment you think, I feel something, and the moment you act on it.
But when I'm truly enraged, trying to pause feels like fighting the current all over again. Does the source offer advice for when the storm is already at level 10 and my brain is screaming at me to react?
It does. It absolutely acknowledges the difficulty, but it clarifies that the necessary pause can be incredibly short. Sometimes it's just one conscious breath.
Just one breath.
Or 5 seconds of mental stillness. That brevity is key. You aren't trying to dissolve the emotion in those 5 seconds. You are simply creating a microspace to introduce the choice.
Okay, let's talk about that mechanism. Why is that specific tiny moment of space so powerful? The source says that pause is where wisdom lives.
Well, that's where the cognitive science comes in, and this is where the learner audience really needs to pay attention. Without the pause, the emotion is routed through the limbic system, our immediate reactive sort of animal brain.
And that drives the reaction.
It drives the reaction. You snap back, you flee the meeting, you send that impulsive email, but when you introduce the pause, even for just 5 seconds, you engage the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of the brain responsible for planning, judgment, complex social behavior.
So that's the pivot point.
That is the pivot point for emotional mastery. It forces a distinction between a driven reaction and a chosen response. That brief moment of consciousness, that choice, is what the authors mean by wisdom.
So the goal isn't to think your way out of the feeling, but simply to create enough neural space so that the thinking, wiser part of your brain has a chance to catch up before you act.
Exactly. And it also allows for what psychologists call cognitive diffusion. By pausing, we realize, I'm having the thought that I am miserable rather than just, I am miserable.
It separates you.
It separates you, the observer, from the emotional event.
That distinction, observer versus participant,
Right.
feels critical. Okay, let's move into the practical application, because the learners wants to know how. How do we turn this 5-second pause into a functional skill? The source material gives us a 3-step guide, a sort of mini guided practice, holding the storm. If you're dealing with any strong emotions right now, this is what you need to focus on.
Right. Step 1 is naming. The instruction is simple. Bring to mind a recent strong emotion, anger, stress, guilt, whatever it was, and just name it quietly to yourself. Say, this is anxiety, or this is sadness.
I can see how that immediately helps with the diffusion you mentioned. When I name it, I'm moving it from a subjective state that I'm lost in to an objective data point I'm observing. But should I just name it as anger, or should I be more specific?
The source encourages specificity, especially as you practice. So instead of saying, I am stressed, try to identify the flavor of it. This is impatience, or this is frustration linked to a lack of control.
Ah, I see.
Naming helps the mind recognize the emotion without becoming it. It's frustration passing through me, not I am a frustrated person. That subtle shift in identification is incredibly powerful.
Step 2 involves the physical self, location. We're instructed to notice where the emotion is felt in the body. We so often treat emotions like purely mental events, but they always manifest physically.
And this step is designed to ground you, which is so essential when the mind is racing. You might notice your chest is tight, or your throat feels like it has a lump, or your stomach feels heavy, your jaw is clenched. The practice here is just non-judgmental awareness.
I imagine the natural tendency is to immediately try to fix those sensations, though, to force the chest to relax or to unclench my hands. What does the source say about that?
That is the common trap, and the instruction is explicit. No fixing, no forcing, just noticing. We are simply registering the physical presence of the emotion, allowing that sensation to exist without trying to immediately change or resolve or push it away.
So you reduce the secondary fight.
You reduce the secondary fight that you're waging against your own physical response.
Yes, and that quiet acceptance leads us to the third and most compassionate step. Compassionate space. Once you've named it and located it, what's the final maneuver?
The source suggests a really powerful visualization. Imagine placing a soft, steady, patient hand gently on that emotion, exactly the way you would comfort an upset child. If the anxiety is a knot in your stomach, you visually or mentally place a warm, comforting hand right there.
That metaphor of comforting a child is key, isn't it? It implies nurturing and patience, not demanding that the upset feeling disappear immediately.
It's an act of internal kindness, yes. You are giving the emotion room to breathe. And the recommended internal affirmation that goes with this step is designed to cement that acceptance. It's okay to feel this, and crucially, this emotion will pass. The goal is to let the emotion have space, not control. That is the definition of staying grounded while the storm is past.
It's like you're saying, I see you, emotion, you are valid, now just wait here while I choose my next move.
Exactly.
Let's pause there for a moment, because this is the core practice. For the listener trying this for the first time, when they're home and they feel that sudden wave of loneliness or guilt, they name it, locate the chest pressure, and then visualize placing a comforting hand on it. How quickly should they expect relief?
Well, the source emphasizes that relief isn't the immediate goal. The immediate goal is non-reactivity. You might still feel the full intensity of the sadness or the anger, but the crucial change is that you haven't escalated it by panicking or fighting it.
So the wave stays its natural size.
It stays its natural size rather than growing into a tsunami because of your resistance. This is what truly builds emotional resilience over time.
This practice sounds powerful, but how do we integrate this pause and these 3 steps into the relentless pace of daily life, where we don't have time to sit down and meditate on every irritation?
This is where the cumulative power comes in. The practice isn't just for the big storms, it needs to be applied to the micro moments. The source suggests integrating awareness using daily cues. Think about transition moments before you open a work email that you know will be stressful, or when you sit down in your car after a long day. Use those transitions as a trigger for a one-breath mindful pause.
So instead of being instantly swept up by the next task or the next interaction, I pause, name the existing feeling, say fatigue, and then proceed with chosen awareness, rather than being driven by autopilot.
Exactly. And this skill, it changes everything because it impacts our relationships, our communication. When you bring that moment of space into a difficult conversation, you are listening to the signal the other person is sending, without letting their emotion instantly trigger your own uncontrolled reaction.
So what are the daily steps again, just to be clear?
The 3 daily steps are simple, but their cumulative effect is profound. 1, name the emotion. 2, feel where it lives in the body. And 3, let it be present without immediately reacting.
And we can see the powerful application of this skill in the real world. You mentioned our sponsor earlier, ProCare Hanoi. Think about the emotional awareness in action there. A customer arrives stressed, maybe angry about a broken device. It's like their communication lifeline has suddenly failed. Their emotional storm is palpable.
Right, and a calm and steady response from the staff doesn't try to fix the customer's feeling. It focuses on the problem with grounded integrity. Meeting that external storm with steady hands prevents the situation from escalating.
So the staff's internal steadiness keeps the interaction professional
and constructive. They validate the customer's frustration without absorbing it or reacting defensively.
That external application meeting chaos with grounded integrity is a perfect mirror of the internal work. You can bring that same steadiness you see applied in a professional setting into your home, your work, your relationships, and most importantly, your relationship with yourself.
And that's where the true foundational change happens.
That really does seem to be the key.
And that synthesis wraps up our deep dive perfectly. The core message for you, the listener, is not that you need to stop feeling things. It's that you need to stop identifying as the feeling. Your emotions don't define you. They visit, they shift, and they leave. This practice allows you to observe them without being swept away or defined by their temporary intensity.
And here's the ultimate analogy from the source for you to contemplate as you move forward and continue practicing the mindful pause. You are the sky, the weather is just passing through.
A powerful thought to carry into the rest of your week, reminding you that your nature is vast and unchanging, regardless of the temporary conditions.
A huge thank you for engaging with us on this deep dive. And once again, thank you to our sponsor, ProCare Hanoi, where mindful service and grounded integrity guide every single interaction.
We'll catch you next time for our next deep dive. Stay steady in your storms.